how to get institutions into these markets. And I'll tell you, Tarun, I kind of have two camps of people that have been on my show. I've got the Stannies and the Roberts of the world that say it's all about liquidity. Show that liquidity is there, and then the institutions will come. And then I got the, Alex Mashinsky's of Celsius that say show the KYC and the AML, and that's the way that the banks and the liquidity will come. I'm wondering what your thoughts are on this. Also, I'm meant to ask this one question. If Sushi Swap didn't call you up or Stanley didn't know who you are, I'm wondering if some of these systems, would have the best handle on the risk management. Whereas back in the days in a bank, there was always a committee, the Fed was watching it. I'm not saying they did the best job, but at least there were people, it was a history of watching risk and understanding risk management. Whereas in this space, I don't agree with Gary Gensler. I don't think it's the Wild West, but there are protocols that start up that you probably see massive amounts of liquidity that aren't even having these conversations. I'm sure you see that all the time. And is that kind of weird that can even exist? And will it all ultimately end in tears when one of them breaks? And will we learn something from it? So there's a bunch of questions there. Feel free to answer them, in however they come up.
Well, I think a little bit about, Mark Cuban losing money in the algo stablecoin Titan.
Yeah, the Iron Finance.
When I think, Iron Finance. Sorry,
I remember
when I think about that.
Right. Well, explain what happened there, because Mark was kind of touting it. It was a algo-based stablecoin, and then it all crashed one night, right?
Yeah, I mean, basically the liquidity dried up, and people couldn't make money from arbitrage, and then the price crashed. These kind of systematic collapses oftentimes have this problem, which is one of the interesting things I think that the Ohm might brand itself as a stablecoin, but obviously if you look at the price chart, there's no way any of the tokens associated are a stablecoin. But the thing that's interesting is it has this dynamic thing where it's using its treasury to adjust incentives. Is there a ton of risk? Of course. I mean, you can just see that from you can look at the data, and it's certainly much riskier than putting your money in compound.
Right. You can see that. And I guess you probably could you see Iron Finance from a mile away? Could you see that going on?
I mean, the crazy thing to me was that they forked a code base that already had that happen called Gaia, just on a smaller scale.
Okay.
But then they of course did kind of better marketing. Plus it was on Matic, so they could attract more new degens.
Right. Well, because this space is a lot about marketing, PR, some influencers, and then boom, right? And very few people like you are running the numbers and even looking at the blockchain, which is public information, but most people don't do that, right?
For sure. But I do think that's for a lot of the protocols that will, in the long run, attract sort of sophisticated capital over time. They will have to think a lot about this sort of risk and incentive management. And, there's two camps of viewing this. One is you start doing that at the onset, but then you kind of grow more slowly with liquidity. You have guarded launches, you make sure everything is sort of safe. And the other is the Ohm model of get as much liquidity in the door as possible and then fix it afterwards.
Right.
And, I think there's both sides to that argument. I think they both are valid ways of growing. I think it's more about understanding your user base in that case, and what you're thinking through who your user base will be in the future. And I think that's sort of one thing we'll see more of. I suspect there will be some crashes, but I think I'm sure more people will talk to us because of that. But I'm excited for the DeFi 2.0 stuff though. I actually was kind of trying to write out some math for it this week, and I think there's a lot of good ideas there. They're just shrouded in kind of mysterious vocabulary, and if you get through that, you can map it to things that exist in traditional finance and get a little more oh, okay, I see why this is kind of working behavior. So to the Ohmies out there watching, I think you guys figured out one or two things that a lot of the algo stablecoins did not.